These eyes have seen a lot of love, but not as much love as I have with you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, and I'm coming at you today with a VeVe OMI update video. A little bit of Definity later. Guys, if you're new, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I love you all. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. Commenting, liking, and subscribing is a free way to help support the channel. Non-free ways are Patreon and smashing that super thanks button down below. Super chats as well. Got a few things to go over today. I'll be talking for a little while. Crypto Rain will join me at some point, not sure when. I will get to everyone's comments again at some point. But if you don't have 20 or 30 minutes for me to answer that question, and it's like, hey, I have like 5 minutes, just give me a quick $2 super chat and I'll go in and answer it right then and there, and you can get along with your day. So we got a couple things to go over today. Let's see what we got here. Fantastic Four #1. We have this on VeVe, and this is one of the things that BizogMan has been stacking as well. BizogMan had purchased, I think, like 1,400 collectibles this past week, and a lot of people, I don't know where people get this premise from, or where they get this idea. But a lot of people try to pontificate on this hill, and they say like, "Oh yeah, everyone in the top 500 they buy $1 comics," and it's like, is that possible to do? Yes, you could spend $3,000 and get in the top 500. It's not that hard. You just have to buy a bunch of these $1 and $1.50 comics, maybe $2 comics if you buy all of them. So again, it's not that hard. But if you take a look, like, go into the wallets, take a look at someone, pick anyone on that board. And I guarantee you, more than not, they have pretty decent collections where they get up to like in the level 40s, 50. I mean, there are plenty of them that are level 100 that aren't even in the top 10. One of my guys, level 100, he's not even in the top 100. But again, you have a bunch of these things that are going on there. Anyway, the reason why, and more on that later, but the reason why I brought this up is because you have Fantastic Four #1, which again we have on VeVe. A lot of our whales have been going on and stacking that at a CGC 9.6. So this is in the real world. It sold for $2,040,000 via heritage auctions. Just goes to show you how much people are willing to pay for one-of-a-kind things or physical collectibles. Now, obviously, you could spend much less money and get this historic comic, and it doesn't have to be in a 9.6. The comic could be in 8.0, 2.0, 1, whatever it is. Again, you don't have to do that. A lot of that happened with Pokemon. People that maybe collected back in the day, you can get a first edition PSA 10 Charizard for like $5,000, $10,000. Now it's well in the six figures. So back in the day, people that were able to do that, they're like, okay, I can get that, and I can complete the rest of the Pokemon set, that base set, for relatively cheap. But when you go on and you talk about nowadays, where again that's in the six figures, and a lot of the other stuff is even in the five figures, you have to say like, all right, I'll have all of my Pokemon set at a PSA 9, except for Charizard and maybe the starters. They'll or most of the set at PSA 10. Charizard and the starters will be like a PSA 9, PSA 8, something along those lines. What up, Rain? How's it going?
What's going on, Randy? What's going on, everyone?
Oh, we got a couple of interesting things to go over. I was just going over that a CGC 9.6 of a Fantastic Four #1 had sold in real life for over $2 million. And that's one of the things that we have over on VeVe. And that's one of the things that a bunch of whales are collecting. And just how much people are willing to spend on these physical one-of-a-kind items, and how very much so they'll be spending that on VeVe. And again, some already are. Amazing Fantasy 15.
What sold for $2 million?
Huh?
What was it that sold for $2 million?
Fantastic Four #1, rated CGC 9.6.
Wow.
And
yeah, that's an incredible rating for such an old comic. They must have put it in like.
Yeah, I think there's only one of them.
Yeah. But 2 million, like, social flexes are a big deal because they're never going to read that. That's a pure social flex.
Yeah. They others in the app, you have Tropical Bird and WC3NTE that had both purchased a Amazing Fantasy 15 for Spider-Man Secret Rare, respectively, for about 4,500 and about 5K. And BizogMan, I don't know if obviously we know of him but he had purchased a Fantastic Four #5, Fantastic Four #1. He purchased 2 of them. An Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not sure which one this is. The cover that has, I forget which Amazing Spider-Man that is. I think that's Amazing Spider-Man #1, maybe. Regardless, he bought 2 of those, and then 3 of the first appearance of Doc Ock. And this is in the past week, where he had purchased, let's take a look, see what it was, another 1,500 collectibles. So yeah, pretty wild. Anyway, moving on here. We have stuff as a kid. I remember that. Venom. I think we talked about Venom last week on Thursday for a little bit. And then the bounties. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah, we have the OMI burn. That's something that happened, I think, like 12 hours after we went live. The OMI burn, for people that don't know, and they're not on Twitter, they're not on X, they're not on any of these places, what happened is that VeVe and Ecomi had said, we're going to take our reserve wallet and our vault, and there are 221 billion of those, and we're just going to burn them. Now, technically, this has no effect on the circulating supply because they're not in circulating supply. They were never going to go into the circulating supply. But you have a lot of fudders that always would say, oh, I guarantee you the stuff that we have in the reserve or the vault will go into the circulating supply at one point, or they'll use it to, rip people off or to pump their bags, whatever. But obviously now they can't say that anymore. Have you taken a look at that? At any of the announcements or responses to the announcement since Thursday?
Well, no, not since we went live last time, which it hadn't been done. They were just talking about it, which, they were about to do. So it's like, I don't know what kind of responses. If there's negative responses, it's like, what the heck? I'm personally not a fan of burn mechanisms. I used to be back in 2017, 2018, 2019. Charles Hoskinson made the case against burn mechanisms a while back, and it made more sense to me. Cool. Are they bad? No, it's one way of doing things. Another way of doing things is, as they make money, they just take that money and they reinvest it in other things, and they grow the company more. But burn mechanisms get people excited because specifically they're holding the token, and that means there will be less in circulation. So therefore, less supply. So therefore, they can see the value going up. Cool. That's one way to accomplish things. Another way is to take that money and reinvest in growing the business bigger. VeVe's kind of doing both, right? So they're reinvesting heavily in their business and growing it. I'm really happy with what VeVe is doing, the kind of IP that they have. I know there's a lot of complainers, and they're like, man, they're not doing enough and they should do more. What they're really complaining about is, why hasn't the token price gone up? And I'm mad because it hasn't gone up. And so therefore, I'm going to backseat drive and tell them everything they should be doing. Look, the price is going to go up as the bull market further unfolds. That's going to happen. They're doing all the right things for that to happen. The timing just isn't here yet, and that's okay. In fact, complaining about it is just going to raise your stress levels. It's going to do health damage to you, and it's not going to fix anything. Is it going to happen? Well, I was thinking everything they've done, everything they've set up, as long as they don't all of a sudden turn the steering wheel into a tree, it is on course for a massive home run for those that have gone heavy into OMI. And so I'm looking forward to that. The burns, cool. It's all right. Most everyone's more excited about it than me. I'm just it's one of the ways they could have gone. Cool.
There were a few people that I have Clomis that had said the permanent removing of 221 billion tokens on the reserve wallet is necessary for the future utility or legal purposes, ? What's the reason behind that removal? The Ecomi team had said permanently removing them ensures that they would never be able to enter circulating supply. And you had a couple of negative ones on top of that. The modern investor, he's been on X really buying a lot of comics. He's up to 1,700 comics. And I don't know how much OMI he has, but he consistently keeps asking people, hey, how much OMI should I buy? Just trying to get the conversation going. But he says, incredibly sad how negative and ignorant people are within the crypto space. OMI tokens will be destroyed and burned. This is the same as moving them to an address that's a one-way street. The coins can never be recovered. This is called the coin burn. If the project has annoyed you or you aren't going to understand what's going on, leave it and stop trying to make money, because clearly getting rich and investing is not for you. Your negativity is tiring and you don't belong in this market. Let everyone else make money in peace. Yeah, why do people do
I
that?
like this guy.
Why do people bitch nonstop on X instead of working and investing in good projects? Why do they do that?
Well, they don't get the bigger picture, and they're just inexperienced, and they don't realize, for the same reason 18-year-olds think that they have the world solved, and they've just got a glimpse of the bigger world. They might have high school solved, and high school is a microcosm of what things are going to look like bigger. So people get started on this investing journey, and they think they know everything. And because they have a voice, they want to use it. Okay, cool. But they just don't realize how little they know. So they're like kids in the back seat trying to tell a highly experienced business person what he should be doing better. And they're like 5 years old. They learned how to speak, but they don't understand the bigger picture of what's going on. They don't understand like technology, businesses, all these things. And it's okay not to understand. You're always bad at something before you're good. And that's part of the process. But if you're doing all the speaking, then you're not listening and learning. And so they're not going to learn anything. And I've seen this happen since 2017. And what happens is they end up washing out. They make all the noise and they make none of the gains. In fact, they usually sell at losses, take off.
I think we lost you there. You are frozen. Frozen.
Yeah, I'm buying when they're selling, and I'm selling when people like that are buying. And so, okay, it's just a necessary thing that they're here, and they have a Twitter account, so therefore they have a voice. And anytime any good discussion is going on, they like to jump in there and be super negative. Cool. They don't get it. Keep in mind, 90% of people do poorly in crypto, and they're part of that 90% because they don't get the bigger picture. I'm super excited about the right things to do and how it can create wealth in this, but a lot of people aren't ready for my message. They're just not emotionally there yet. They don't have enough experience to realize like that these patterns work. And some people, like I was listening to some things by Joe Dispenza, and he talks about how we create our life through our thoughts. And so they've experienced so much disappointment, they almost like set themselves up for failure with disappointment in crypto too, because that's what they're used to. So they almost do the opposite of what works, not on purpose, but they expect disappointment. So their body helps them make sure they get disappointment out of things. I've been putting a lot of thought into why do so many people do things wrong in the crypto space, and who is it that I can help see a different way? And I realized maybe 15%, maybe 20% I can help see a different way. The other 80% are going to touch that hot stove. They're going to do it all wrong. And then most of them will then leave the space and think crypto is a terrible place to be and it's a scam and blah, 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 blah. But they're just doing things wrong. And they don't realize when you do the wrong things, you're always going to get bad results. That's just how it works. And they don't give themselves enough time to either learn by making the wrong mistakes and starting to make the right ones, or learn from those that already know how to make the right choices and not have to touch those hot stoves all themselves. All right. It just is what it is.
I see it as a, I don't know if it's a laziness issue, or maybe people aren't just that adept at reading into things and doing research. Because I think the same thing happened in like 07, 08, where nobody looked at the loans that the banks were giving to people. They just saw like, oh, okay, these loans are going out, they're being diversified, in those CDOs or synthetic CDOs. And then somebody looked into them, but like, hey, these are really bad loans. Like these are not good. And then once you looked into them, you really understood what's going on. I see that with people addressing NFTs and crypto that say all of it's a scam and it was a fad. And I think it's just it's partially a lack of understanding. And then I think a lot of people, they just hear like a headline or a soundbite from somebody that's relatively famous or has some sort of following, and they think, okay, yeah, it's probably a scam, because it doesn't make sense. Because I mean, it doesn't. I mean, you have these incredible gains. You could, put in $1,000 and then suddenly be worth 6 figures if you pick the right company in, 2 years. It doesn't sound possible. But again, people I think just don't research. Cole says, "Hey Randy, bring the good word. Thanks for being a member." But says, "Is this stream considered the OMI is my homie stream for this week?" No, that will be on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The reason we didn't have it last Wednesday, we had it on Thursday, is just because we had scheduling issues. But either way, that was fun. So Ash Crypto over on X asks, or he says, "Stop panic selling your Bitcoin to BlackRock and whales, because there was a bunch of red candles leading us down to $55,000 Bitcoin. We had gone up to like a $61,000 Bitcoin this weekend, and now currently back down to 57.9, so pretty much 58. This is before the Fed meeting today and before the announcement of rate cuts tomorrow. You had Elizabeth Warren and a couple of other senators ask for 75 basis point rate cut, which is nuts. I'll never get that, but likely 25 or 50. What happens for either of those? We get 25% rate cuts, or 25 basis point rate cuts, or 50% or 50 points. What happens with that, and how does that affect crypto?
It's going to have a big impact on crypto. It shows a direction change from raising interest rates back to lowering the interest rates. And as the interest rates lower, money flows out of the dollar into assets like stocks and also crypto. And what it has the biggest impact of everything on crypto prices. So this is some of what's setting up for this massive bull run. The Bitcoin halving was part of the setup for the Bitcoin bull run that's going to happen. This is the other part of it. So I've made some videos in the past talking about the perfect storm and how things are coming together for this perfect storm that's going to take Bitcoin to all new highs. As that happens, people start paying attention to crypto and what's going on with crypto, and like other than outside of Bitcoin, and then money starts to pour in first to Bitcoin, but then to all these altcoins. The amount of research that then goes into like fundamentally strong projects is extreme at that point. And then money starts cascading into all these different narratives within the crypto space. And then it lasts for anywhere from 3 to 9 months, depending on when you consider the period that you're looking at. Like the blow off top happens usually over about a 3-month period. But like we're in for some crazy times ahead. And, there's a lot of people concerned that like it's mostly recency bias. OMI's been going down for 3 years. So is it really ever going to turn around? And, things continue down until they don't. And then they go the other way. And if you look at OMI during the last bear market, guess what its price did after its launch? It went down. And it went down until all of a sudden the greater bull market happened. They even released their VeVe app, and they had Batman Black and White, and they had some collectibles. That didn't really even do very much for the price. You know what did? Bitcoin going crazy, and then later cascading into the altcoins. And then people discovered this OMI thing. And then OMI's token went like 2000x. Okay, so it probably won't do 2000x this time. But that same sequence is what brings it into here. So like OMI Power asks a good question. Wouldn't you say a lot of this depends on how the company executes? What are the encouraging signs you have seen this year? What's interesting about the greater bull run is that even in the greater bull run, shit even flies. Like it shouldn't. People shouldn't throw their money at shit, yet they do because they're just new and they don't know how to differentiate between shit and a good project. So the good projects do exceptionally well, and even shit does well, even though it shouldn't. So I remember some projects doing 200x that were like somewhat shady back in 2021. And the founders had like some track records that were like a little bit scary and everything. And yet the project's token did like 100 or 200x. Okay, cool. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, what has VeVe done to deserve? Well, first of all they needed to do was survive. Second of all, they've got this massive IP on top of it. They have a decent customer base already. They have a really good, one of the best communities in the crypto space. I get some people washed out, some people turn negative. That happens to any company that grows a community during the bear market where they experience their price decreasing like that happen. That's Bored Ape Yacht Club has the same problem. A whole bunch of things have that problem. Guess what happens when all of a sudden the price turns around? all those complaints fade away and a whole new wave of new people jump in and massively drive the price up. And that's what's going to happen with OMI, barring like arrest of the founders or some kind of weird things, which, you know, there's always that chance. It might be a really, really small one. So, I mean, there's a small chance too that we don't wake up tomorrow. So you have to go off of what the probabilities are. And the probabilities are really strong, in my opinion. And this is how I'm structuring my own investments, that OMI is going to do incredible in this coming year.
Agreed. So, Kelsey, did you hear about the VeVe verse? Of course, we all know about it. It's in beta right now. Hopefully, we get a little bit of that over the next maybe couple months, or maybe 6 to 8 months. We'll see. Hey, Randy, how do you move OMI from VeVe wallet to Stacker? You do have to bridge it if it's on your VeVe wallet. Foster does have a video. He's probably got a couple videos about that. So I would go there, or if anything, if you're having any extra help, just shoot him a message. Be like, hey, this
is there a deadline of when we're supposed to move that by?
There's no definite date. I mean, you could still have OMI on like GoChain, and you could still be able to, to bridge that.
But I'm talking about the credit for, because at some point, right, you only get credit for it if it's on Stacker.
I think right now it's dual. When they roll out Stacker for everyone, then they might give us a timeline and hey, here's a date, which is gonna suck because everyone had such a hard time moving it over. We're gonna have another hard time. Yeah, it'll suck, but we'll do that. And then honestly, at that point, and again, I don't know when Stacker releases it, but at some point, I'm gonna say in the next 1 to 2 years, you do have that blow off top, and OMI's 5 cents, 10 cents, like VeVe, you can keep your bronze tickets, you can keep whatever. I'm selling that OMI. Like 10 million OMI right now, yeah, it's a couple $1,000, like $4,000. But at 4 cents, that's $1 million. So we're gonna go and do that anyway. Or 4 million. Sorry about that. We have Bitcoin network has the mining difficulty has reached a new all-time high of 92.6 trillion. There's a lot of people that think we should be several times higher, and that the ETF futures manipulation is getting out of hand. I happen to agree with that. How long before ETFs and the big boys, they go and manipulate alts, and does OMI have a chance of being thrown in that basket of manipulation because of how amazing it is, because of the splash it'll make, and because hopefully in the next year or so we get on more exchanges? Or is OMI too small?
Ways they suppress the prices, they over short it. Oh, just a sec. They short the heck out of it, right? And then that kind of drives the price down over time and kind of holds it down. But if there's enough money coming in all of a sudden, that actually starts liquidating all their shorts. As you saw it, like this is what the whole thing was about with GameStop. GameStop was super overshorted by some big hedge funds. And it was part of a way of killing GameStop and suppressing their stock price so that it really, really hurt them. And, there's that analyst who wrote up a report on why GameStop was massively undervalued for the kind of revenues they have coming in, the kind of sales and stuff. And then somebody else took that and really made it public. And then all these buy orders came in and effed up all the people who were massively shorting it. So just because they play games in the futures, that doesn't mean it can't go very wrong for them. And there's going to be enough buying coming in that if they're massively shorting it, try to hold the price down, at some point, I think that goes very badly for them. And I don't know, like we'll see if the government was able to stop all the trading going on on GameStop so that like they could try to save their friends who ran those hedge funds that had been shorting it. Are they going to be able to stop execution of Bitcoin during that time? Maybe. I mean, Coinbase, when there's massive activity, always seems to go down. It can't handle the volume. But they better hurry up and liquidate those shorts at a certain point.
The reason I asked is because it seems that they're able to manipulate something that's, $1-2 trillion Should be a lot easier to manipulate something like OMI that could potentially have those 100, 200x gains, but they only have a $100-something million market cap as
Yeah,
opposed
it's
to
not big enough to catch their attention and
yeah.
not enough money there for them to do it. Yeah, so maybe the next cycle it'll have their attention, but for now, this cycle, I don't think it'll really even hit their radar.
Mr. MC1, how's it going? Says, hi all, loading up on comics and MCP. I've loaded up on the Aliens vs. Avengers comic, but outside of that, that's really about it. So speaking of the larger markets and potential 1 to 200x's, and obviously this is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors to anyone here. But Yahoo Finance put out something the other day, and we had a stream with the team that the article was referencing on Friday, saying Definity Markets is officially Bitline's transactions guarantor. Now, what does that mean? That just means that basically Bitline grants cryptocurrency owners unprecedented access of up to $10 million in casino venue chips, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, serving as a conduit for liquidity on gaming floors across the world. And the CEO, Richard Jones, has said this about the company. Our vision to reshape the gaming industry with digital asset purchases and blockchain entails setting customer safety as the utmost priority. Our partnership with Definity Markets ensures precisely the kind of safety we provide by securing transactions so that users may complete their purchases with confidence and trust. Now, when me and you had talked about Definity, I think for the past several months, or if not year, it was really just about their spot crypto trading, their foreign currency stuff. And, we figured that might have been a billion, potentially multi-billion-dollar opportunity, considering that they're essentially the first to market that. Their anomaly detector, Axion AI, they have part of it. It all went into that. But we never really imagined that Definity would really get into this casino gaming venues, and them being the only one, at least right now, that can potentially change in the future. What does this mean for Definity? I think this could be potentially another billion-dollar idea if executed properly, but that might be just me being a moon boy, not trying to pump my bags, but just saying, what do you think this means for them?
Well, so one of the things I love about the crypto space in these bear markets is you have time to do research on the companies that really are growing something and doing something that has value in the real world. And by value in the real world, they're solving problems, right? I'm a big believer in VeVe because they're bringing collectibles to digital collectibles where they're verifiable. You're buying the actual item. They have major licenses that are very interesting to me. And VeVe is leading that new front that I think is going to be huge. So Definity is solving some major business issues that I think are cool. And one that just kind of came out of nowhere. So there's a lot of, I guess, for those that don't know Definity, there's a lot of hedge funds, institutions, and banks that want to trade on foreign exchange. The problem is they want to keep their funds safe at like a bank, held by a bank, and not some trading exchange. And so Definity helps solve that for foreign exchange, etc. Well, then they thought, why can't we do this with crypto? And then all these institutions and even some banks that want to trade crypto, as well as some hedge funds and some sovereign wealth funds, they can trade in a way that they're already familiar with. So they've been working on that for like 5 years. But while they're doing it, so essentially they set it up so that these banks could custody the assets, like these major banks in Europe that all, most of the world trusts these banks to hold their funds. They send their funds over there and the funds are held safely there. Well, cool. They've been in beta and they've been testing this out, allowing some of their clients to be able to use their beta and trade that way against their funds held by these banks. Another problem came out of nowhere, which is, well, we have people in who are crypto people that are also like pro gamblers, and they'll often come to a casino and they'll be like, hey, I want to be able to trade against my Bitcoin. I want $2 million, trade against my Bitcoin. And so they're like, we can't do anything. So casinos all over the world have been turning these people down. And so they approached Definity. They're like, hey, what if you use your current solution so that then we could allow these people to be able to use their Bitcoin and other crypto assets to then be able to use on the casino floor. And they're like, all right, yeah. So they lined up a way to do that. And it is a really big deal. And a lot of times in the bear market, like, so a lot of what they've announced, a lot of what they're doing is really, really big news. And most everybody hasn't even realized it yet. Kind of like you look back in, let's see, October 2020, November 2020, and VeVe launched their VeVe app. Look at the price of what the OMI token was. So their VeVe app was really cool. They had Batman Black and White. You had augmented reality, a major brand, and then a few other major brands that came out. And yet nobody really started scooping up the OMI token. It wasn't until the greater bull market happened. And then all of a sudden people were like, oh my gosh, OMI, holy cow. And then OMI just went crazy. So a lot of that's what happens. So Definity has amazingly strong fundamental things going on with it. But a lot of people haven't realized it yet. So it's like a ticking time bomb where the price blows up to the upside later on and just hasn't happened yet. So a lot of people say, well, if it hasn't happened yet, it's not going to happen. Just look at charts in the past. Look at the last bear market and then what happened and then the companies behind it. Yeah, that's just how market cycles work. The pendulum swings too far to one way, then it swings too far the other way. So we've been too far to the downside for quite a while now. And it feels like when it's too far to the downside, that's never going to swing the other way. And if you make that assumption, you'll be wrong.
Speaking of OMI price, we could talk about this a little bit. We mentioned the burn before. And after the burn happens, again, there's no timeline on that. Hopefully they do it soon. But it'll help us have a better chance at getting the folks at CoinMarketCap to actually put up accurate information. So fingers crossed on that. But one benefit is that Etherscan values for the OMI token won't show any of these tokens anymore. So the numbers here will drop by the removal of all of those useless tokens, which is great. Because right now on CoinGecko, you just see 750 billion in circulating or in the max supply that's possible. So if you're not familiar with the token, all of a sudden you see, oh, this has a vesting period, still has to go on, it still has double the amount of tokens left to get out there, and you just so in a nutshell, it'll be super easy to explain the circulating supply once this is done. You still do have that GoChain token balance of that 98 billion that's still locked in the time contracts. I don't know how they're going to explain that still to the new people, new investors. But eventually this should be pretty good once the burns start happening into that ERC20 address. My question is, what does this do for the price short term and long term? Short term, do you think it causes a pump and dump, or does it have a moot point to the short term and it's all about long term?
I don't know that it's going to do much to the price of the upside in the short term. Like, people do act emotionally, right? So understanding where things are going is very, very much a logical analysis. But people who have been in the crypto space for the last 3 years, they're not in their logic brain. They're in their emotional brain, much like you would be if you got knocked to the ground and you got kicked while you were down for 3 years, right? Which is what most people are feeling. Now, somebody who's been through this a whole bunch, they can still get in their logical brain and be like, oh, the beatings are going to stop sometime soon. I don't know exactly when. And then it's going to go up. So I'm going to go like crazier in. But a lot of people, this is their first down cycle. So like, be realistic with yourself. Just be happy if you survive it. You're going to regret later that you didn't like go more in and like, believe me when I say that things are going to turn around. Cool. It's all right. It's all right. You're learning. You're here to learn in this process. And like, you know, I sent a message to my private Discord earlier today that I hope they all check out, because a lot of times we think we're going to be happy when, right? I'll be so happy when OMI goes to 10 cents. I'll be so happy when OMI goes to 50 cents. I don't know where OMI is going to max out, but if you've been doing the right things during this bear market and you've been making smart investments in crypto, the pendulum is going to swing the other way. And many of you, not all of you, because some of you are making bad choices, many of you are making a lot of smart choices, and your crypto portfolios are going to go crazy. you're going to find yourself in a situation that you might be worth $200,000, might be worth $1 million. You might even be worth over $10 million. And I know some of you that watch this occasionally have invested in the millions already. Your net worth is going to go crazy. Is it going to make you happy? No. It's going to change your finances. You won't be much happier than you are now. You will have different problems. You know, a lot of people would trade their current problems now for the problems that they'll have in the future when they're super rich. But the truth is, you can be happy now. I will share with you, like Evan posted this thing, which made me think about it. Diamond handing OMI. Sorry, I haven't been on as much. Touching some grass, brother. I love that, because a lot of times, like, if we let the volatility of the day-to-day stuff in crypto get to us, it actually sucks the life out of us. Why do you think it feels like 4 years, feels like 15 years? Because day to day, you're letting your emotions swing with what the price is doing. Remember, you're in here, if you're doing things right, you're in here for longer swings. You're not day trading. Most day traders do not make much money in crypto. Everyone that I know that's gotten rich through crypto bought during the bear market, and then they held till everyone was talking about crypto, and then they sold into that. And so really, like, if you've made smart acquisitions, or even if you continue, like, you don't have to let the day-to-day price bother you at all, other than, is this a good price to pick up more? What you're waiting for is when everybody's talking about Bitcoin. In fact, some people, you're getting a haircut and they're talking to you about, oh my gosh, have you heard about this thing, OMI and the VeVe app? If you're getting your haircut and the person cutting your hair, someone at the salon, is bringing that up, it might be a good time for you to exit some of your positions at that point. And that's what you're waiting for. So watching day to day and like letting this volatility and, oh my gosh, oh, such and such just dropped right now. Oh, it's just going to suck life away from you. You know, I use research to take smart positions, and I take smart positions and then I just wait. Well, what if the price goes down in the meantime? Well, then I can scoop up more if I want to scoop up more at that price, because it's not sell time for me until like everybody's talking about crypto. And then it's time for me to massively exit most of my positions.
I like that thing you said about touching grass. And I did a little this weekend. I mean, we did it most of last week. We legit touched grass on our cardio sessions. But on this week I went to a pit game, the college football team. That was a hell of a fun game. Went down to the wire. Was able to go and spend the evening with Lori Brenner, son Max, her husband Will, and it's just been. It was a good week. What do you do to touch grass? What do you do to go in and kind of reset?
So I listen to so much YouTube per day. It's like crazy, or audiobooks. And usually while I go to the gym. So one of my favorite things on like a Sunday is going to the gym. Almost nobody's there. And I'm listening to like, just like good messages, like good books on tape or something. And working out. Like, I found working out at first, like anyone who has been watching my show for a long time, I was about 70 pounds heavier, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And I decided it was time to get my health in order. Like, I really didn't have any excuses. I had plenty of time to be working out now. Why am I not? And it's just because it was a lifestyle change. But at first I had to create little incentives or rewards. That's like, okay, if I go to the gym over 3 times per week, I'm going to buy myself this dessert that I absolutely love. And I rewarded myself with that. After a while, the workout became the reward. So now, like, when I work out, like, that is my reward. I look forward to it. I love it. And that's one of the ways I touch grass and enjoy life. So other things is I like to take my wife out and we go like dancing and other things and just socialize. One of the challenges of the crypto space is, like, if you don't have a job that puts you out in front of people all the time, the crypto space further doesn't put you out interacting with people. And so, like, I've had to find ways to go out and meet new people, because my wife and I moved to a whole new city like 2.5, 3 years ago. And I didn't know hardly anyone here. And crypto doesn't really help that, because a lot of the cool people I know are all over the world and not where I'm living. And so I had to go out and meet a bunch of people and still continue to meet people. so that I can just have a vibrant social life too. Now, money will augment it. I've got all my money in crypto, and sure, I could cash out a bunch, buy a nice home, buy some nice cars. That would be really dumb of me to do right now. I have it all invested so that I can buy a really nice house, and I'm going to buy a supercar for every day of the week. And yes, it's extravagant. You might even say it's stupid. It's not really stupid because it's the marketing power behind it that's important. People sometimes don't understand making the right decisions till you show them the results that come from making the right decisions. And so it will help me capture a bigger percentage of that crypto audience that I can't now capture just with the message itself. You almost got to show them the fruit of it. And yeah, like I could show them bank account stuff or like how much my holdings are. That wouldn't prove anything to them. You show them 7 supercars, one for every day of the week. And for whatever reason, even though that's only like $2 million, for some reason they can wrap their mind around that. So I'll probably make that that expense happen, a nice house, throw some good parties, throw some good events, get to know more people. And yeah, during this next bear market, I expect to be flying around, interviewing different companies. Randy and I were talking about, oh my gosh, this next bear market, we're looking forward to it and not looking forward to it. Randy's like, Rain, do you realize the amount of work, because all these picks we're buying right now that are super cheap, their market caps are going to go way, way higher. And even when they come back down, they just won't have as much gains next cycle. So we're going to have to find a whole new crop of undervalued projects. I was like, yeah. He's like, do you know how much work that's going to be? I'm like, yeah, I do. And it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure.
So this past week, or I guess week and a half, 2 weeks, have been my chance of touching grass without really trying to. Things just happened. Typically what I do, I guess it's not really touching grass. I'll go down different rabbit holes, and you find this really interesting communities. Like back in the day, in like mid 2000s, I was like Mr. Conspiracy Theorist. Like everything was a conspiracy theorist. Was a conspiracy, and those are the people that were as open-minded as you could think of, and they're the ones that were into alternative. Like if crypto existed in the 2000s, I would have gone in, but it wasn't. The alternative was like the gold and silver, which like, okay. But if anyone's looking to find friends or find people that would be interested in crypto, I can't really say much for sports or normal people things. I went down the rabbit hole this week on things that don't make sense. So like, I don't know why anyone would look this up. I don't know why this is a thing, but have you ever looked up like small towns, like wherever you are, it could be in your own city, the history of the courthouse and like when it was built and how many times it had to be built? Because in multiple cities, and they're in like these smaller towns, they're not in like major cities, but it's always, okay, this is the 5th iteration of this courthouse. The first one was built in like 1855 in like a year. And then this brick courthouse somehow caught fire and got destroyed 20 years later. And this giant courthouse that they built in place of it, which again is also brick, they did in a year, which doesn't make. So I get down these rabbit holes of AI or the government going in and saying, hey, we have to hide the history of what really happened with these courthouses. So let's make everything on Wikipedia this. And the comments of the people that do it, that are going down this rabbit hole, is wild. And if you're looking for people that would be into crypto, that just are open to anything, that's the way to do it. That's my fun stuff that I like to do. Speaking of government, you had in 2020, the FCC secured a commitment from Starlink to offer high-speed internet to 640,000 rural locations for $1,300 per location in federal support. After revoking that award in 2023, the government is now spending in the ballpark upwards of over $100,000 per location in some cases. This is why I think government should not run anything. It's incredibly inefficient. And this weekend or yesterday, you had a second assassination attempt on Trump. I don't know what's going on with everything, but I feel like, my own personal opinion here, that Trump might be a bit better, not just for crypto, even though I think crypto as well, but I think for the world, I think it would save a lot of people a lot of money. In your experience, now that you have Elizabeth Warren asking for 75 basis point cut, and Kamala going in and dodging all these interviews that she doesn't want to do, in this worst case scenario, at least as far as crypto is concerned, if we get more of the same, if we get more Democrats, if Kamala's elected, what is your conservative estimation of where crypto goes and OMI? And like, what should our expectations be?
In that environment, should Kamala win, like Bitcoin's not going to do as well as it would under Trump, just my guess, but it will do well for different reasons than under Trump. I think under Trump, the SEC will actually turn from anti-crypto to actually providing clarity of regulation so that businesses, crypto businesses and blockchain businesses can thrive within the US. And all of a sudden, US customers will be able to get on all these exchanges that you're currently disallowed from, which is ridiculous and stupid. But it's not the exchange's fault. It's the US SEC's fault. So a lot of that will unlock, and I think we have a super cycle if Trump is elected. If Kamala is elected, people will turn to Bitcoin more as like a digital form of gold and like for safety and security. Like, I mean, look at where prices have gone in the last couple of years under the Biden-Harris administration. Do you think that's going to reverse? They're not going to do anything differently than they're doing. We're going to get more of the same, and prices are going to get even worse on things, and it hurts. And so people, like, sure, they'll probably just start printing even more money as a way to have more money, and that's going to cause worse deflation. And people will flee to Bitcoin first, but then other crypto is a hedge against that, because as Bitcoin does really well, they then look at other altcoins because those usually do even better than Bitcoin does. So people will flee to that safety for a different reason than if Trump is president. That's my opinion on it. Like Kamala, I'm not a big fan of her. Cool. Her politics, well, what really are her politics? She's going to do whatever whoever's been running the Biden administration. It's just going to be the same people running that shit. Biden didn't really make a lot of those decisions. Kamala's not really going to make a lot of those decisions. It's going to be the same group of people running the show as they're currently running it now. And you'll get a lot of the same, right? Gary Gensler probably be replaced with Gary Gensler Part 2. You know, some person that's going to be ordered to do the same stuff that Gary Gensler's been doing. Yeah. And Gary Gensler might get promoted to Treasury Secretary instead of Janet Yellen. Well, you know, I'm not a huge fan of either of the two. So, yeah, we'll see how this U.S. election goes. Yeah, so either we're in for a good cycle where Bitcoin maybe goes to 150,000, maybe 180,000, or Trump gets elected and Bitcoin might go crazy, like 250,000 to 500,000. Yeah, I agree. That idea, we definitely need the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, led by Elon. Like Elon Musk, I'm a huge fan of, right? So is he mildly autistic? Yes. Is autism a bad thing? No, it means his brain works in different ways than normal people. And he is extremely efficient, like extremely, like he takes ideas and he makes ideas that everyone says can't happen. He makes them happen. And he realizes all the ways that government gets in the way of business instead of helping. And so he'd be the perfect person, him and what's his name, Vivek Ramaswamy, to go in and make government like all this red tape that all it does is slow down business and make everything cost more than it needs to. Government doesn't solve problems, right? I mean, Joe Biden promised he was going to come in and solve all the problems. And what did he do? He doubled the cost of meat. He doubled the cost of milk. He doubled the cost of eggs. He didn't solve any of our problems. So like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy coming in with the Department of Government Efficiency, that would be amazing. There are people, a lot of people with government jobs that will not be happy, but the truth is government isn't a great place for people to have a job or a career that they love. There's a few people in government jobs that just absolutely rock it. The problem is incentives are all wrong in government jobs, in that if you do an amazing job, you'll probably get fired because you'll make somebody above you be threatened by your position and they'll fire you. If you do a mediocre or terrible job, you got great security there. And so just the incentives are all wrong for performers, right? So a lot of people in government jobs aren't performers, and you put them out into the real workforce where they have to perform in order to get promoted, and they'll actually live happier lives. Now, when I say that, not everyone in a government job isn't a performer. I did work with Accenture, and they consulted specifically in the government consulting branch. And there were some people working for the government who did not get paid very well, but were freaking awesome. So realize I say that in general, but specifically, if you boil it down, there are some people that work for the government that are amazing. I just wish there were more people that work for the government that were amazing. The problem is they don't get paid what they're worth, those amazing people. And so it's hard for them to stay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because I know a couple of good people, Josh Mandel, Greg Schultz, amazing people, great at their job, one Republican, one Democrat. So that is on both sides of the aisle. Unfortunately, being in the military and working with a lot of contractors, Corvallis, DynCorp, Blackwater, a ton of waste, especially while deployed. Oh, this machine doesn't work because of a broken part? No problem. We'll just order a new freaking machine. Don't bother fixing it. Oh my God. Even on top of that, a lot of stuff in the military. Hey, we need to, we have an extra $30,000 to spend. And if we don't spend it, we won't get that amount of money next year. So we have to spend it on something, even though we don't need anything. This is stupid. This is ridiculous.
It's misaligned incentives, right? It's not. Yeah. It's not. The incentives aren't aligned with efficiency.
Yeah, correct. We have a question. Well, not really a question. Well, yeah, kind of. Zavaser says SEC is now suing crypto companies with traded NFTs on OpenSea. That is partially true. He says OMI is a clear target. Avoid, true or false. Definitely false, because what a lot of the SEC is doing, or at least what's in their line of sight, are companies that, yes, they had NFTs, but they're really companies that have said, buy this NFT because it will be worth more in the future. And they're going to make, like, there was literally a project that had its company that said their motto was Road to 44. As in the road to 44 ETH. That company, if it hadn't rugged or if it hadn't gone down, would have been in the SEC's line of sight. Thankfully, with VeVe and Ecomi, none of that had ever happened, so we're good there. MBE says, let's freaking go. Moving on here. We've had a, oh, shoot. No, that was that. We had a couple of giveaways from VeVe. Crypto States, Ben Jamal, Dastan71, Choo Choo Waltz, Nathan Bigmore, and Real on Iraq. They were the most recent participants and winners of the giveaways. Also, Sal's Cartel 30, Viv Grip, and Red Bull Energy 92. I bet you'll like that one because you love your energy drinks. Should VeVe continue doing these small giveaways where they give away stuff worth $5, $20, $50? Or should they instead super publicize a giant giveaway where they don't have maybe, 50, or several dozen winners each month? Maybe they have one big winner and they give away a waltz. They give away like a Vader or a Riso, something like that. What is the best? What route should they go?
I think right now with the small giveaways, I think as the market hits momentum, then the big giveaways will have more impact. But for now, like, just lots of small giveaways. Why? Because I like to see lots of smaller wins from a variety of people. And it gives people something to do, because the hardest thing is doing nothing. Even though, like, if you've taken smart positions, other than possibly dollar cost averaging more into those smart positions, like, you're waiting. There's no trading day to day. And so some people go crazy with nothing to do because they feel like activity is what's needed to create wealth. And the truth is, smart positions and waiting for that to grow is what you need to create wealth. So they have nothing to do. So they almost they go crazy and they then just start trading because they're bored. This at least creates something fun that they can have some engagement and try to win these things and give people something to do, because 4 years, like, bear markets get boring. And even though we're technically out of the bear market, we're in the early bull market. It doesn't feel like that with altcoins and with VeVe, like NFT or digital collectible prices. It feels like we're still in the bear market. So it's fun that there's cool things to do while people are waiting, because waiting, drives some people crazy and they just give up. And so little things that help people wait, great.
Agreed. What up, VeVe Zombie? What up, everyone in the chat? Thank you for the 330 people that are here. Unfortunately, I do think the pain for some people will get worse before it gets better. And what I mean by that is for everyone that OGs, and for people that weren't here, I'll explain what that was, is that before anybody knew about OMI, before the app even launched, OMI was a thing. It was at Quad Zero, it was like Quad 03. And there was a moment of severe pain from when the app launched until OMI started taking hold, where Bitcoin was ripping, it shot over to 20,000, and OMI went to the depths of hell, and it shook most of the people out. And that was before that insane run-up of like one of the most insane run-ups of any crypto ever. The whole market was ripping, and OMI was just sitting there doing nothing for a few months. I feel like that same thing is probably going to happen again, because not everyone, not everything runs at the same time. What's your advice to those people that are so low? Advice to dollar cost average is to just ignore it? Is it like, hey, if it's taking up too much mental space to get out? How do you deal with that? How do you deal with the pain of my investment is not going up, but it's going down while everything else is ripping? Pay attention to history.
So here's my advice to people in this space that are here for the investing side. Is your goal isn't to necessarily make amazing money this bull cycle, which that'll be a side benefit. The goal is to become good at this. And to become good at this, you have to be able to weigh different factors and to believe two things are possible. Say, for example, believe it's possible that OMI is going to massively succeed, and believe it's possible that OMI is going to fail. And then you start stacking the evidence behind each of those. And then it helps you decide, where probabilities lie. And then as you watch and see how things actually play out, you then learn, okay, here's what I assessed the risks were, but here's how it played out. And then you get better for the next round, because as much as we're in the bear market now, or early bull market, it just feels like a bear market still with altcoins. We're going to have a bull market, and it's going to go crazy. And you're going to find out that you're wrong on a bunch of your assumptions. And if you're open to both of those, you're then going to learn how to reevaluate things so that you get even better the next time. But a lot of people don't approach this with curiosity. They approach it with, oh my gosh, I bought OMI at 1.4 cents and I'm so excited and it's going to go to the moon. 2 years later, oh my gosh, VeVe, I hate them making all these decisions and they're so terrible. And I'm selling and it's all their fault. And they've learned nothing. They jumped in at a high, which often happens as people come into a bull market. It then went down. They became like disillusioned because they thought they had bought the perfect thing, even though they bought it at a high. They didn't take any ownership. They learned nothing. They know nothing more about being a good investor than they did before. And so they're missing the best opportunity of their life. Now, I bought in high when I came in October 2017. It did go higher for a month and a half before it then crashed down. And I put 15,000 in and went to like 170,000-ish. And then it crashed down to 3,000. And I, instead of like jumping out and being like, oh my gosh, I hate all these stupid projects, it's all their fault, I was like, oh man, I've learned some things. Okay, so crypto has cycles too. And there was a bull market and it was followed by a bear market. And so now we're in a bear market. So I'm going to use this bear market to make some assumptions on some different companies. I'm going to look at a bunch of research. I'm going to make some strategic bets, and I'm going to see how they play out, and I'm going to learn from them. And guess what? Some of the companies I invested in failed, which were great learning lessons. And I've since narrowed down my focus on what I'm interested in. And from the previous bear market, I was still fairly new at this. And some of the ones that I bought massively succeeded, which carried more than made up for all the losses I had and made me incredible gains. So I made incredible gains while learning and becoming better. And so then this last bear market, I've just been accumulating more, and I reinvested and rolled everything in. And I'm waiting to see how this plays out, both to make money and to learn to become even better. And so I would say, like, approach this with curiosity and a desire to learn. Making really good money is going to come as a result of making good decisions. How many good decisions are you going to make? I don't know. It depends on the decisions you're making. I'm not going to tell you which decisions to make. I'm making my own decisions, and I don't mind sharing with you the reasons why, but you're the one that gets to make decisions for yourself, because that is how you'll learn the most, because you're going to take your, okay, OMI, I rate it this much chance of succeeding. I rate it this much chance of failing, or whatever that ends up being. And then you're going to watch and see how it plays out to see what you were right on and what you were wrong on. And you're going to learn to reevaluate, because you're going to be wrong on some things, guaranteed. And maybe you'll be right on some things. Cool. Because the goal should be learn to become a really good investor. Because guess what? We might only have one more massive bull market swing after this, and then we'll kind of flatten out. Most of the world have adopted crypto, these massive swings that we've been experiencing. As we go to a greater percentage of the globe using it, the swings will disappear. They won't be near so great, and so the gains won't be near so great. But there will be some other technology emerging that you could then use those skills, because you learn to become a good investor, and you can roll those in and you can play those too. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of you end up being billionaires 8, 12, 20 years from now, because the skills you learn to become a savage investor. First in crypto, but then you rolled it into whatever it's asteroid mining stocks or whatever it is in the future.
I can't wait to roll mine into something. I don't know what. Maybe something having to do with, once we figure out which companies are going to do well with AI. I think right now you have too many hands in the pot. Most of them will die, but some of them I think could do really well. Anyway, new IP. We have Maserati now. On Saturday, I happened to be with Lori and Will, and Maserati was something that we're like, okay, cool, another car brand. We're still waiting on a few that I think were promised us back in the day. But it came out today that we have, it's a $40 price, 2,324 editions. They hold back 90, so it'll be 2,234. Would you consider this a supercar? Is it just a sports car? Not really on that super part. A little bit of both. Give me your opinion on it.
I actually was, I wish I was more of a car person. I'm not. Like, I'm not even going to buy the supercars for me. I don't need a Ferrari or Lamborghini in my life. I think of like the maintenance behind it, and it like gives me a little bit of stress. So I'll just have to hire like a part-time mechanic to come service the thing, so I don't have to worry about it. But it really is just for the value of helping people open up their eyes and see. I don't think Maserati qualifies in there, right? So it pretty much is $200,000 cars and up. And even then, some wouldn't qualify. Like the Audi, whatever it is, that's like a supercar. Is it a supercar? Oh, yeah, it's really fast. But it doesn't look like a supercar. And for my specific use, they have to look like they're supercars, because it is like the looks that matter. That's what gets people's attention. So like my wife really wants a Maserati, so I'll probably get her one, but
Nice.
Don't tell her that. So
Okay,
like, for now, I'm like, no, baby, I'm getting all these cars and you're on your own to buy your own car. Am I going to get her something? Yeah, of course I'm going to get her something, but
it'd be awesome. There's a ton of conspiracy theories. I heard about the lizard people and shapeshifters. I've heard of them. I don't know if I that might be a little too much for me. I haven't looked into it. One of the things I looked up before, though, Rain, I assume you've seen the Wizard of Oz, right?
yeah.
What color are Dorothy's socks?
White?
That's what I thought. I swear, like everyone I've asked so far, like, oh, they're white. And then like apparently not. Apparently they're blue. Did you know that the Scarecrow was strapped, as in he's holding a gun throughout half the movie?
No. That's funny.
When I'm looking this up, I'm thinking, what in the Mandela effect is this? Because there is zero chance that he had a gun, but he had a gun half the freaking movie. Yeah,
that's so crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, wild times. Definitely need we definitely need the Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon. Love that. We have tomorrow, I guess Wednesday. So Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, they do have the new VeVe comics that are coming out. Any of them that you are looking at, or do you just buy the old ones that you know are going to be worth something someday?
I wish I knew on the VeVe side what had high probabilities of doing really well for the comics. I've made some bets, but like a lot of my money I'm putting into OMI because like for me, I know better what the probabilities are. Some of these VeVe comics, especially the really limited ones where there's like 1,000 of them and they're newer, like don't discount those because those might end up being worth a ton in the future. It's hard to say. We can look at historic comics that did really well and have an idea that those ones, the digital versions of those, will probably do well too. But some of the comics that are most popular 15 years from now, who's to say it isn't one that's being released and just barely written and completed and comes out with those? So I really look for first editions. I don't like to buy the hype. I think some of the ones as they release on these new comics that you have to buy off the special VeVe Comics app, I think they're worth getting, like the Aliens versus Avengers one that you're really hot on. Like that's actually a pretty good bet in my opinion. Like I don't know how it would do. We don't have a track record on that, but it's a semi-limited release. It's like everyone who's read the comic thinks it's awesome. I bought it. I haven't read it yet. Have I bought it more? No. What I'm hoping is some of my other positions really, really take off, and then I can and that VeVe and OMI continue to stay low, so I can reallocate a lot more into like the VeVe app. Although shout out to Mr. MC1, he has been crushing it because you can track these kind of details. Crushing it on picking up VeVe stuff. Smart move in my opinion. Like I've been going for OMI because that's what I know better, and I can. I just feel like I have better foundation for how it's going to do. I wish I knew way, way, way more about comics. In fact, if I could just download, the brain of some of the brilliant people in our community, like Sleep In Comics, download his brain and understand everything he knows about comics, I would be buying a whole lot more comics. I do think they're massively underpriced, but which ones specifically are more underpriced, I just don't know as much about comics as Sleep In does, or comics and crypto. And some of these guys that have amazing comic experience to be able to have a good feel for, you know what, I think this one's going to be exceptionally popular, even though it just launched. There's 1,000 editions, and I think people are really going to want this in the future.
Agreed. I sent you something via text. It's a comic rank based on which ones are like the best comics on VeVe, down to like the worst, from the S to D tier comics. But yeah, dude, go and read that Aliens vs. Avengers. Mm-hmm. It's so good. Takes like 20 minutes. You could use the app reader or you could not. I don't think it matters. Which I guess that's the other thing. So My Collectibles put out a post before. Speaking of MC, let's see where he's at here. My Collectibles. What a cutie pie. He goes in and posts. How many of you are finding how are you finding the VeVe Comics Reader app? Please provide your comment down below. The poll question explaining your answer. Only 9% of them say that they're enjoying it. Now you have 46%, like almost half of the people that are just not using it in general. 35% say that they use the VeVe app. They don't use the comic reader app. They just read the stuff on VeVe. And then 10% say that they use it, but they do need improving. I don't know how much time and money they spent on that, but right now it seems that a fraction of the users are actually using it. I'm kind of one of those. If I ever do read the comics, I usually just use the VeVe app. It's just doing that extra couple of steps. Yeah, that's rough. It's not rough. I'm too lazy. Just that statistic.
Yeah.
Anyway, on September 18th, which is Wednesday, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Foster is holding the second edition of OMI Hour. Recorded space will allow you to ask questions, give feedback, provide ideas, and hang out with fam. It does say OMI Hour, so thinking it probably just lasts from 7 to 8. We should be good on our normal OMI is my homie time. If anything, do you want to keep it open where maybe if it runs long, we start at 8:30? or just move it in general.
So when you were given the times, is that Eastern time?
Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Normally, OMI is the homie channel. It's on at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah,
and
if we
did say
need to
this would be an
start late
hour.
because his thing's going like a half hour late. We can start.
Yeah, I'll ask and get a definite time on that. Cool. Let's think of questions we might want to ask him as well, and then talk about the answers on our show. I think that'd be good. Christopher Merton saying, "What's up? How's it going? Meow meow meow." Oh, Curlio recovered OMI from Bit4X. Only took him 4 months. That's awesome. It's great. Transferring them to Binance. They don't have yet. All right, these are pictures. I should be more prepared than this, but I am not. So that is on me. That is my bad. Like a rock, waiting game is the hardest thing. It truly is. I feel like I've been monopolizing everything. You got any questions for me while I scroll through?
No. King Panther hit it right. The waiting game is the hardest thing. This washes out so many people. I mean, think about all the people that were super excited in crypto in 2021, and they kind of still hung around till 2022. And how many of those people are gone? Some, they washed out, but they didn't leave. They're like fighting the crap out of everything. And that's normal. That happens. Why they spend their time here when they like sold everything, I have no idea. I don't understand that mindset, other than instead of taking ownership of their decisions, they need to find somebody else to blame because it can't be their fault. Yeah, that's some personal stuff they have to work through themselves. Whatever, right? They're not looking to take ownership. Unfortunately, they're not likely to learn, because this is an amazing learning experience. The reason like I'm good at investing, I've been doing it for a very long time, and I learned some hard lessons that cost me a lot. And I don't usually repeat those hard lessons. I did a little bit when I first moved into crypto because I thought crypto was different. The same principles didn't apply. They do.
Crypto Cosmo, shout out to the fam, saying, you think we'll see Uptober, Pumpvember, and a Santa rally? Or do you think that this bear market and manipulation continues well into the end of this year and even early next year?
I think Bitcoin starts to go up October and then November, December. How strong? I don't know how it'll play out. We're just in a corrective phase. Like if you joined the buy, wait, or sell video we did Friday with Paul, and he was just showing the bigger picture, and it's just like Bitcoin's run quite a bit, and then it just does a corrective phase for a while, and it's playing out perfectly within that when you look at the bigger timeline. Like it's not a big deal. The downward correction that happens, crypto often, even when it's running, will go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or in this case, 3 steps forward and then 1 step back.
Great. Martin says all solar electric cars will die. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure Tesla vehicles are, they pretty much make everything they sell. I'm pretty sure they'll be fine. Ours is more of a luxury. Bless you. Thank you. So we have a new OMI burn mechanic. This is coming from Emoji, who is a small-time rapper, along with, I think he said Non-Fungible Wonderful. He's got a couple of people on saying that Emoji's going to release a new song sometime in October. And when he releases it, you can listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, anywhere you want. He will take half of the revenues that he gets from that, and he'll go to buy it. And then after he buys it, he'll go and burn it. The other half of it, he can do whatever he wants with. I don't know if he'll just buy it in general and burn half, but half of that revenue will do that. It doesn't sound like much for one person, but when you have multiple artists like he has going to do that, and again, only a few of them have signed on right now, I think that's something cool that the community is doing. What else could the community do in order to add to these burns?
I don't know. I think burns are cool. Like, do I put a lot of thought into that? No. I mean, the revenue could be used in other ways. It's fun when the community finds different ways to burn it. That's unusual. That's not usually the case in most crypto communities I've ever seen. So it's kind of fun that the community is creating creative ways that they're then helping burn it, which is fun. I don't have a pattern to look at that I can look at some other project where they did these kind of things, especially in line with a project that's it's in the pole position or the first position in a major, what I think is going to be a major narrative of the future, which is digital collectibles. And so I don't have a pattern to look at, but it adds up to good things. I do think the VeVe community, even though like some people have left and some people have turned negative, VeVe still has like an absolutely incredible community that's going to get a whole lot bigger when OMI starts going the other direction and VeVe collectibles start going the other direction when that happens. So it's going to take this good base that it has and a massive amount added onto it. And probably some of these ideas of like, oh, I'm going to do this and burn half of what I make will really go viral as like the community gets bigger as those things happen. So it'll probably benefit the people who have really good ideas because they'll get a lot of traction they wouldn't have necessarily otherwise gotten. And it's going to lead to more OMI burns. But I definitely don't sit around thinking, what are different ways we could burn OMI? Other people are good at that. They'll come up with those ideas. That's not my specialty.
Gotcha. Preach. Omar saying soon we will get more manga on VeVe. Oh, I can't wait. That'll be amazing. I don't know what we get. Obviously, everyone would really like Pokemon, but I think if you can get any type of shonen jump, if you get My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, Fruits Basket, like any of these would be just amazing. I would love it. Foster made a video. Ooh, link me that, Omar. VeVe Gold asks, how much do you think Todd will go up this bull run? You can do it in terms of ETH. You can do it in terms of OMI, gems, dollar amounts, whatever you think.
Hard to say. You know, it topped out at what, like 7,000? Did it go up above that? No, it did, right? What did it go
like
to?
14,000.
14,000. Yeah, I sold one at 11,000. I sold one at 7,000, one at 11,000. I don't know, like maybe next run, like 25,000. It's unfortunately not likely to be a huge multiple over what the previous high was, but I do expect it will exceed the previous high by some, but you know, my guess is like 25,000.
Yeah.
So they're trading for what? Last I checked, it was like 600.
I think even less now, because the reso's at like, I think the reso's at like 7 or 8. So Todd's probably like 5-ish. Okay, Foster put out a 18-minute video here. We obviously can't go over all that. He just says navigating social media is a challenge, and I don't always do it perfectly. I know what kind of person that I am, and no matter what the opinions of me are from some, I've done nothing but and will continue to put my 100% into this project. Always appreciate the support, fam. So yeah, for those that don't know, people that work for either VeVe or Ecomi, or even people that are just big in the community, yeah, get a lot of love, and that's great. But you also get a lot of not love. Foster himself and myself have received death threats. Every now and then you have the negativity get into you, and you go in and you lash out, or you say something that maybe you might not have said. But that's pretty much, again, I don't want to speak for Foster, but if he goes into that, I assume he goes into that in his 19-minute video that he has on there. As far as the Todd, I would say, I remember, if you're looking at, like you said, 25,000, figure that's like 10 ETH, at least right now. Usually as the amount of ETH increases, or the amount of what ETH is worth increases, the value of that NFT will increase as well. For example, if something is 1 ETH right now at 2,500, you would think that if ETH goes to 5,000, that price would remain half an ETH, because then it would keep that $5,000 value. No, that's not what happens. The amount of ETH doesn't just increase. The amount of ETH that it is worth also increases. So even though it might only be worth 1 ETH at 2,500, if there's a NFT out there that has that particular setting, if ETH goes to 5,000, I guarantee you that collectible or NFT rises at a commensurate rate, meaning it's worth 2 ETH or 3 ETH. And this way it's worth 10 or 15,000. I don't know why it does that, but that's what happens. That's what happened last cycle. Same thing on the way down. Todd, I would say if it's worth a quarter ETH now, and ETH doubles and it goes to 5K, I don't know, maybe it goes to 5 ETH. You know, that would be that 25,000. So, you know, we'll see. What's up, Patient Hodler? How's it going, fam? There's this will and is OMI still being burned by buying gems, buying collectibles from the VeVe store? That did happen for the reserve and vault for their ledger, but again, I doubt that would happen because VeVe doesn't make any money like that. That had happened for like a month or a couple weeks in like early 2021, where you could use OMI to buy gems, and then you could buy those and then you could use those gems to buy the collectibles. But VeVe doesn't make any money like that. The company would be bankrupt. So that'll likely never happen again, at least not in that way. Guys, have a great day. Let's go. Meow, meow, meow.
Figuring out about VeVe's revenues, right? So like, think about how Bored Ape has so much money, and they make a percentage as these collectibles trade. And like, I get it. People have found some ways around it and stuff, but they made so much on that. Well, VeVe has built in like this fee that they make as things trade. And right now they're not making a ton off that fee, but when the market goes crazy again, they're going to be rolling in revenues, rolling just from those royalties. And that's what Disney gets, right? Disney and Marvel get that. They're like, oh my gosh, we get 6% every time these trade hands, because some of these collectibles are going to go up massively in value. Imagine one of their comics goes up to, say, $500,000. And so they make $30,000, Marvel does, every time one of those comics changes hands. And the amount of revenues they're going to be getting is crazy.
And when Todd has 7,500 collectibles, the first Batman on the blockchain, first appearance, first thing ever on VeVe. So it's really special. And apparently you have to subtract 2016 away from 7,500. I figure that's 5,484. And that's before the 14 or whatever that they kept. That's really good. That's really nice. They've been locked in ghost wallets from VeVe boxes, spreadsheets, which is great. But I do want to talk about some competition here. Mr. MC1 says, hey, I hope everyone's doing well. Does anyone have the units and money in sales from store and market for Cryptoys, along with the details of special high-value purchases, mints, whatever you can share? Would be great to see the progress. So somebody responds, and Mr. MC1 requotes that, saying, thanks to my friends in France for getting me the Cryptoys total sales. This is from June 1st to September 15th on Rarible Marketplace. So it's not from the actual Cryptoys store. It's just from the secondary market. And gross sales, $86,000 for June, July, August, and half of September. From June, we had $60,000. For July, for July through August, for 2 months you had $21,000, and then from September 1st to the 15th, those last 2 weeks have been $6K. So Cryptoys sold 3.2K. They teleported 6.6K. The average price is 27. The Toykin marketplace is under construction. This is these numbers do not look great. What are your thoughts? How are you interpreting this data?
I don't know. I think Cryptoys, they just need to survive until the coming bull market, and then their sales are going to go way, way up. Yeah. So I don't know what their financials look like, but bear markets are hard. VeVe almost went bust their first bear market. They barely survived, from my understanding. And then it went crazy for them. So if Cryptoys just survives till then they'll get some traction as money comes into the crypto space. Waves and waves and waves of it, they'll benefit. And then if they use that money well, they'll survive the following bear market. And hopefully they build a community. So far, I like what they're doing, right? So I'd like to see Cryptoys survive.
Agreed. You definitely want to grow the space and grow the hobby. Speaking of growing, Binance announced the spot listing of a low crap Nero, Neiro meme coin. After doing that, it 10x'd its market cap from about 14 million to about 150 million. Now VeVe or OMI is already, at that, $100 something million market cap. So I don't know if a Coinbase or a Binance listing would automatically 10x it, but if something like that were to happen, what do you think that does for the token? Just the announcement of a listing, would it have any similar effect? Or would it just be a little bit lesser just because we already have a bigger market cap?
No, so some attention has been on meme coins because it was having a run. And so when you have a big announcement like that in the middle of a narrative run and it's inside that narrative, well, that kind of stuff happens. If we're already in a greater bull run that people are focusing on digital collectibles, and then they announce like a Coinbase listing, yeah, the price would like 10x in something like that. But the narrative already has to be running, because what's funny is when nothing is going on within the narrative that you're in, like big announcements often don't carry much traction unless it's like a massive announcement. So it's like if China announced that like all of a sudden VeVe was available to all of their user base, and all of a sudden a bunch of people from China were buying some collectible. Well, that would be big enough to gather some momentum, even though the digital collectible narrative isn't even running. And maybe that would kick off a digital collectible narrative. But it takes something much bigger than a listing on, even Coinbase to shift the whole narrative to digital collectibles. Like a Coinbase listing, which would be one of the biggest listings they could get, wouldn't all of a sudden shift to a digital collectibles narrative. But if they announce that during a bigger digital collectible narrative, then it would really amplify the gains.
Agreed. That is about it for the rest of the news and the rest of the stuff. And I do have to get on a call real quick. Do you have anything you want to hop over before the end of it?
Nope.
All right. We'll talk off camera for a bit as well. Everyone, thank you for joining. This has been great. To the 437 people that are here, everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. I love you guys. Until next time.
See y'all.